Hi everyone, my name is Sayyid Sarfaraz, and here I'm going to give a presentation on chatbot for restaurants with my teammate Mohammad Abdul Kafoor. So now we are going to see the outline of the project. And first, let me make it clear that I have done the documentation, PPT, and the data collection part, and my teammate Mohammad Abdul Kafoor has done the coding and execution part. Now let's see the outline of the project. So we are going to discuss topics such as introduction, background, project objectives, data collection, methods, results, observations and discussions regarding the chatbot and the screenshots of the project and how can we improve. Now let's go and start with the introduction. So what is a chatbot? A chatbot is nowadays a common tool used by companies in various industries. We can see chatbots being used in restaurant industries, travel industries, and many other places. This all started back in 1960 when the first chatbot was made. What is a chatbot? Well, it is a field of artificial intelligence which provides cheap and intelligent human-like services. You sometimes see when you visit a website, a window pops up and a chatbot starts asking you questions, or at least it asks you what you're here for. What does a chatbot do? It is able to focus on human like interactions. A chatbot successfully understands the human speech and language, and communicates well to respond in the same way by learning and mimicking it. Well, its ability to learn itself and adapt to situation makes it an intelligent agent. Now let's see the project objectives. Well, the objectives are very clear and simple. The objective is to create a chatbot for the restaurant field where the user can find some response for user queries of a customer before going to a restaurant and saves a lot of time and reduces the cost of management. Sometimes people go to a particular restaurant and they don't like the ambience, they don't like the taste of the food, but this involves their time wastage. Firstly, they travel towards the restaurant, then they go and then they see the ambience is not good, and then again they leave. This is a lot of time wastage. So a chatbot can basically reduce humans' time wastage. And the main aim was for the algorithm development for identifying and answering the user queries and enhancing the skills of chatbot and expand its usability vision. To make chatbot answer all the queries related to restaurant's menu, about the restaurant, and more general information a customer might have while visiting the restaurant, we're going to see the following methods. The data collection part. The chatbot created had majorly data collected from various places and it was done manually and was added manually. The data was collected from various restaurants about the menu and also some information about the restaurants from some prestigious restaurants around the city. Also, we have seen the chatbots that are used on five-star hotels such as Marriott, Intercontinental, Sheraton, etc. A GitHub a repository was used in which the chatbot dataset was Gitful. Data, data about restaurants and food was gathered from Wikipedia and from some of the other sites. Data set from Kaggle for restaurants were also used for reference purposes. Now, my teammate Mohammad Abdul Ghafoor will continue.
Hi everyone. Uh, as my teammate said about data collection, I'll just like to add a few points on that. We not only just collected data from various sources like we pulled some Git repository, we also find some data from the Wikipedia and also from some other resources like restaurants and all. Not only that, but we also arrange the data in a way such that chatbot is easily be able to get the data and respond. It's easily able to use our algorithm on that data. So let me show you how we have did the coding part and how we have implemented the chatbot. So going to the methods, there were several methods that we have to implement to make the chatbot run smoothly and respond to all the queries of the user. So I'll go line by line. So the first one, a different method I'll say, like it's about the importing packages and the important packages among them were one which is called sklearn. We extracted the feature for text extraction. And with that, the main purpose for in the project was that we need to tokenize the data into different parts. And for that, we use TF-ID F vectorizer. And also, we were supposed to match the words, like for the similar words, what are the same words that share the same emotions. And for that, we have used the cosine similarity. These are the packages that were available in the sklearn, which we imported into our code. Then moving on, as I said, tokenization was the main concept method that we use in the code. And for that, we use the approach called TF-IDF, where we divided our words into different tokens, and that tokens were supposed to match with the data sets that we already created. And accordingly, it was supposed to respond. So for this, we have imported different packages, and among them, one was the NLTK package, because natural language processing is the algorithm that we are using to create our chatbot. So there are two major algorithms, and among them, the biggest one that mainly it depends on mainly our chatbot depends on is natural language processing, and for that NLTK is the package we installed. We created the code using the Python language, and to the Python language, after importing the NLTK packages, we are supposed to also download Punkit and WordNet. So these are the packages that are supposed to be downloaded, and what each of one does is the Punkit. It acts as for the tokenization purpose. It acts as it tokenizes different words from the given input. Suppose a user gives a sentence. So in the sentence, suppose there are 5 words, then it is supposed to break down that sentence into 5 different words and put it into different tokens, in the different clusters. And what a WordNet does is it divides the words, like for the similar words, for the pair of words, each individual words, 5 words are given, and if there are 2 similar words, it puts in the same cluster. So that was WordNet was supposed to do. So it's used for both words and sentences. So these were downloaded through using NLTK. Then what we did, it was we used the lemmatization method in it. What does the lemmatization does? It's if 2 words are which gives us a similar meaning, and like which the 2 words that gives same meaning at the outcome for the rest for any user input, then those kind of words are put together, like traveling and moving. These are the words like they give the similar meaning. So these are the words that are put in the same cluster, same tokens, so that they can be matched later on with the data sets, and the one with the more score will be able to respond from the same token. So these are the different methods we are using, and I'll just show you with the results part. Okay, so what does the chatbot finally outputs? Our channel, what our chatbot output is like, as soon as the user inputs some sentence, uh, like show me the best restaurant or something, anything, whenever the user inputs any sentence into it, it just basically first divides the sentence, it tokenizes them into different words, and using the Punkit and WordNet is it's and lemmatization, similar words are divided, and such that all different words are put into different clusters and tokens, and they are classified basically. And the next step is then each word in the data sets is then matched with the different tokens, like after the dividing sentence, the best restaurants in the Texas, all the best Texas, all these different words are put into the different token, and then these words are matched with our data sets that we have already pre-produced. We have already defined few set of text on it, and after matching them, the words, the tokens which match the best with the data sets and which scores the most, the cluster which scores the most with the data set is then taken back and responded to the user, and in such a way that the best outcome or the best response can be shown to the user. So in this way, for the similar text, there can be different meanings or different sentences available. So using the tokenization and using like the NLTK and natural language processing algorithm, what it does is it divides the words, and it's basically helps us to find the best match for a given user input. It matches each words with our tokens, each input sentence, each user input sentence words with our tokens, and whichever tokens gives out the most score the most match score is been taken back and it's used to respond to our user input. As we can see in the screenshot over here, it states that hi, I'm Google, let's chat. So in the box over here, the user need to input any sentence and then the output can be generated. And if the user wants to end the conversation, he just need to type over. I have given a single line of code, like you can type over to end this chat. Let me show you over here the output. So here we can see like this are the first two lines are just the first two basic starting command that I've given. So yeah, the chatbot can begin conversation with the user and tell him when he can stop. And here we can see that when the user is typing hello, I'm here for an appointment, the chatbot is responding who is your appointment with, or if the user asks for kids menu, it gives us all the different kids menu available with the restaurant with the prices over here. So this is basically what the chatbot does. You type in a sentence, it matches with all the data set that is already available. It uses the user input, breaks it down into different parts, and then matches with the data set. And the one which matches the most with the data sets, it just responded back. So, and it's responded back with the response, whatever it is. So it is fairly giving a good output, I'll say, for any user input. And as the user types in more and more questions and more input sentences, what it does is it learns from them. It understand and it train itself in its knowledge base so that it can respond the next question better way. Let me move on with the observation and discussion part, and I'll just let you know what we were able to observe from the particular project, and did it produce the output that we were hoping for. So as I said, it fairly performed better, and it gives us good responses back, accurate responses back, whatever the user inputs for a sentence. Even if there's a new sentence that's not in already data sets, it is able to generate responses for that. It is able to train itself for giving an accurate results for it. Even like we have created the data in such a way that even if a user put in just a restaurant name, whatever the restaurant name may be, XYZ, if the user just put in the sentence XYZ, it gives the details of that particular restaurant, like how is the response, how is the rating of the restaurants, a basic brief detail, so that user can think about visiting the restaurant and he can know what it's the restaurant, what the cuisine is, and what are the timings. At least for the basic information can be gathered just by giving the restaurant name in it. So advantages of it will be like it's gonna save time. We have seen that there are not more restaurants that are using chatbots right now, and if they use the chatbot for the user, it will be very easy for any customer before visiting. Just checking a chatbot going to the website, having a little convo with the chatbot can give him a fair idea, like is it the restaurants that he is looking for or she is looking for, or is the cuisine what they want to eat or something like that. So it saves time instead of just physically going, visiting, and turning back. And the chatbot, as I said, is working, performing well according to our benchmark. But there are some questions that we have noticed, like the one it's not able to fully grab the human conversation, because each individual human type in like any different grammatical format. So it needs some standard English format to get the responses. And with the if there are some different uh, way of telling, then it sometimes get confused. And what I have seen is like as we started to increase the complexity of the chatbot, to get it more information, to deep dive into the data set and all, it's generating slow responses, or it's generating like it's getting little confused about the responses. So it needs more if you want to implement a bigger data sets, it needs more than 2-3 algorithms to work on. So just a little observation we did on that part. uh, Next, I'll be moving on with the screenshot, and with the screenshot of the project, I'll be going to explain each part of my code, and how we have worked on that, and what does the particular line or something generates. So let me start with the packages. As I said earlier, we have imported few packages over here to start the project, and this project is on Python programming language. So we have used the Jupyter notebook to work on it, and this is what this is how it started. So first, we need to import some packages as NumPy and NLTK, that's for natural language processing use, and strings, because there's some text segments that needs to be converted. So we'll be using string as well. Then, as I said, for the main purpose of tokenization and to check the similarity, we are using the sklearn futures, and sklearn and are the package, and from which is we are downloading the few methods from it, like TFI, TF vectorizer, and cosine similarity. And these are used for different purposes. Like I said earlier, TF-IDF vectorizer is for tokenization, and cosine similarities to check the words, same similar words in it. Then after importing all these packages, what we need to do is we created a function, and we call it as a response function, and the user response. So what we are doing in this is we are basically tokenization. We are doing the basic tokenization and matching. We are using the both packages over here to use to tokenize our words, and then we are transforming it, and we are basically using the cosine similarity to match the similarity between words. If the words are similar, then it needs to match, and then we're gonna sort it, and we are dividing it into different tokens. And at the end of it, I've given a single line statement, like if there is no if something, there's something the chatbot is unable to understand, or if did not grab it, or the human interaction language is little complex for it to understand, or it has not trained itself at the extent where it could answer that particular question, then it will just respond in a way that uh, I didn't get you, could you explain me in any other way. So the user get it, and he can type in the sentence, the user input again, in such a way that the chatbot might be able to understand it. And moving on, here we can see how I have loaded the particular data set into the code, and then by use of fopen, by use of using the test, as we said, and my team has said, like a data set is a text-based data set. We have used Notepad, and we have put all the data in it. So we are just gonna give the text part over here, and we are gonna read the text. So menu.txt is the name of our text file. So we are opening it, and we are reading it using fread. And then all the text in it is going to convert to the lowercase, and then we are downloading Punkit and WordNet. These are the packages that are not supposed to be imported but downloaded in the code. And as I said earlier, Punkit is used for dividing the words from the sentence, and WordNet is used to just divide different words into different clusters. So we just download them, and then we use them to tokenize. As we can see over here, sentence, we are giving a variable name and using the NLTK to tokenize the sentences over here. This is done with the use of Punkit, and then for the WordNet we are using NLTK, and then tokenizing it. This is used for WordNet. So these are the basically used for Punkit and WordNet. Then moving on, over in this section, what we are basically doing is we are using the lemmatization function over here. We are lemmatizing, and what does this does is it matches the similar kind of words. As I gave an example and explained earlier, it matches the similar words, and it puts together, you put them together into a same cluster instead of different cluster, because the words with a similar meaning and dividing them into different tokens is just complex the it's complex the chatbot more, and with more complexities it will not be able to respond smarter way. So by putting all the similar words that generate the same meaning, uh, we can make a chatbot work smarter, work faster, response faster. So we use lemmatization over here, and then we remove all the punctuation marks, and we check for the punctuation over here, and then we translate our text to the lower level, to the lower case, so that we can use in the chatbot section. Moving on, this is the main final part of our project. what we do over here is we first check like if the user is ready to respond. So flag is equals to 1 means that for 1 it means true. So user is ready, user wants to speak, user wants to communicate. So as soon as the chatbot is loaded, first what it shows is the basic two statements over here, where the first statement just tells that this is the chatbot name and it's ready to speak and all. And the next statement is tells that over is the word that we can use to end the chat. As soon as the user inputs the over, the communication can be stopped. And then we can see if I have given a while loop over here to check if the user wants to have a conversation or not. These two statements are the first one that shows as soon as chatbot is loaded, and this statement checks if the user wants to communicate. If it is double equals to 1, it means the user wants to communicate. So what it does is this statement take the user response using the input function, and then the next statement, the user response, the user input segment is converted to the lowercase, and then again a condition is checked. The user wants to communicate. What does the user is typing? Is it typing some sentence or is it typing over? Because if it's typing over, it just can break from this loop and it just can end the conversation right over there. If not, if the user wants to communicate, then we have used append over here for the user response, and then the words are tokenized using NK word tokenize, and it takes back to the earlier functions over here using the response, where it goes over here at the back and it checks for the statements and it runs for a tokenization, check for similarity, and then its response using the statements. So whatever the user types in, it goes back to the function, it checks for the conditions, it checks for if it's all are true, then it will tokenize, and then it will output whatever the response it's getting. And if not, then if it is flag, we can see over here, it just display the message see you or any message, whatever we want to give over here. And then this is what I've shown, the basic, the input statement, what it shows right after running. This is what it shows with on this box where the user can input any statements over here. And then over down here, this is the output that is displays. Like whatever the user inputs, it gives the output for it. It checks the condition, it tokenize, and from the data set it matches. And this is all what we have already added in our data set, what we have loaded our data sets with different data and all from various sources. So basically I've told you all about my project, how we import packages, how we use Punket, how we use WordNet, and how we use them to tokenize the data, and how we tokenize them into different tokens, then how we match the different tokens with the data sets, and then we check the data set with each is matching more. The one tokens with which data set it's matching more and giving more points are being chosen to respond to the user back. So this is all the project is. So I'll be going how we can improve this. There are few factors that we considered like we need to be working on, and like so one of them will be a better human interaction. As I said earlier, chatbot needs to learn and respond to various sentences given by the user. It needs to learn like in a different way. If the same user responds in the different way, it needs to respond, it needs to understand and learn them. So we'll be working on that, and then uh, we'll be working on uh, the main thing I felt like the chatbot needs to respond few of the aspect automatically. Like as soon as the user comes and you start with the conversation, if a basic chat, if the basic conversation, like for the restaurant, basic conversation will be hi, and about the menu, what is the menu? These are the basic statements, and what is the menu, where is the restaurant? All these are the basic statements. If this needs to be automatically generated by the chatbot, it should not be leaning on learning from the data sets and matching, because it will take time. So this the basic statements it needs to learn, it needs to train itself by having a conversation, and it needs to prepare itself for some basic statement that it can show every user in the beginning of conversation. So we can work on that. And as I've shown you earlier, so with this it shows the output, as it shows the coding part as well, it shows the technical part as well. So what we want to do is we can create any application, or we can work on some HTML and on a web based system where we can use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then later on connect our code so that there will be a better graphical view for the user. uh, they can better see, they can better, they all the coding part and all the technical details will be hidden from the user, and all the user won't be able to modify anything and any changes. So that's the part we can work on, we can improve with it. Concluding it with a summary, I will say that the chatbot we created is actually works well, and it shows responses for most of the user input statements. And this chatbot can actually serve as a basic, as a design sample for the bigger corporates. They can work on building up a more bigger data set, bigger with using bigger servers, connecting bigger servers data set using complex algorithms, and for the for like millions or billions of data. They can use this, like a big chain of restaurants can use this as a sample for creating on their website, or they can for small businesses or them they can directly use this chatbot to communicate, to use on their website to communicate with the user. This will save a lot of time for the customers, and it's also save a lot of money in terms of like the profit can increase, like it's gonna reduce the uh, instead of keeping a few more for humans to interact with the user to explain them the menu. This can simply be done by a computer, and it can save revenue for the restaurants. And the other thing is, by doing the project, we were able to deep dive into deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. We were able to understand some complex algorithms like NLP, natural language processing, and how this works, and how we can use these algorithms and pattern matching, and use of these algorithms to create something physically implemented artificial agent, which can be used in the real world. And we were able to understand what the chatbot can is supposed to do, and how far can the chatbot do, and how far it can enhance our day-to-day life. By enhancing just skills, it can ease our lives. And so yeah, this basically chatbot can be used for restaurants, for basic giving them the menus, for answering them queries, telling them about the restaurants, telling them about the timings, reputation, menus, and what all is about, and what is the cuisine, and every such simple queries for them. This can serve as a design level for the restaurants for to use them ahead. And then these are the references which we use. We used a paper, an article from uh, Chinspe Chaudhary, and it was called as the Chatbot Development for Education Institute. Uh, from this reference, we were able to understand how the chatbot can function for the different things, how we can build a simple chatbot for different things, different sections. And then we use one more article. It was called as the Build Better Chatbots. From this chatbot, we got a different view of the algorithm, and what all can be included in the chatbot apart from just simple basic. And we were able to understand how the data sets, how we can make a clear data set for it to extract by the code. And then finally, we got an article for called receipts for building an open domain chatbot. This has the articles help us in understanding the tokenization functions, and how we can use the tokenization and NLP in a better way to improve the performance of a chat. So this was all about our project, and here we'll like to conclude. Yeah. Thank you for letting us know. This project has helped us in a great way in understanding artificial intelligence, as well as its very core complex concepts and everything. And so this will be all about our project. I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you.